Morning. So I only did the one video yesterday. Bit of a big day, I guess. Obviously I had that morning, nice big long check-in. Trying to remember what else I fucking did that day. Stuff. I had things to do. And then, I don't know. So I think I just farted around the house. Yeah, that's it. I just took it really easy. Forced myself to drink like a protein shake smoothie thing. Like I made a protein shake and put banana and greens powder and oats in it so that there's still substance and fiber in it and everything, and forced myself to have that and walked down to Absolute and did the letting go workshop, which is really, really nice. My glutes are feeling it today, but I'd been put off the idea of like yin yoga because they talked about how it's holding poses for a lot longer, but I didn't realize that it's more passive and that it's on the floor, whereas like hatha yoga is obviously more flowy and that's more what I'm familiar with. But I think yin yoga, especially if Fernwood are going to be offering it, I think I'm going to be going and doing that just because it is a lot more passive, and I think it will balance out with the high intensity of, say, like pole and otherwise strength training, which would be good. So I need to have a good look at their timetable. And Elaine's coming over tonight, who also has a Fernwood membership, so I think we'll be able to sort of like figure out when we can get there together. And we're also going to watch the Game Changers documentary tonight, so I think that'll hopefully inspire me to go on a bit of a health kick. So yeah, a bit of yoga, a bit of journaling and things like that. And I realized that really like the main emotion that's coming up for me is grief, which, as we all know, because we've all experienced grief is probably one of the, like, I would even say it's maybe the most uncomfortable human emotion that we can experience. Yeah. And I mean, I try to help other people through their griefs by, by letting them know gently, like not to resent that pain that they're going through, because that pain is equivalent to the amount of love that you had for whatever that thing that you're attached to is. So when you have that thing in your life, that is love. And then when it's gone, that space, it's still love, but the, I guess, tone of it has changed into a void where that feels like grief, and it's really hard to get through. And as we know, like, yeah, grief is one of those things that it doesn't go away, it just gets easier with time. And even if I think about like this year alone, the things to grieve are, a failed relationship with Daniel, the loss of my cat Luna, the loss of my job with the clinic, the loss of my relationship with my sister, now the loss of the relationship with Alex, the loss of my identity as a pothead. Not really mourning that too much, but I guess what's instead is around it is a whole bunch of uncertainty of who am I? Because I can't remember who I was before it, and I've even tried, asking. My sister can't even remember who I was before I was a pot smoker. But I mean, that's a bit different. The first half of me, a few years ago, my focus when I was like trying to get clean again was remembering who I was before all this shit happened and trying to get back to that. And the truth is, you can't go back to who you were because shit has happened. So you just have to be the next best version. So yeah, I just need to take time to grieve. Because I mean, and then that's all that's happened this year alone. And then prior to that, there's other relationships that I invested a lot of myself in that didn't quite work out. There's been a miscarriage. There's been assaults. There's been a lot of things not work. Scotland didn't work out. Tim didn't work out, and I still haven't really like grieved that properly. But yeah, so I mean that came up as something that to do before the year comes. It wasn't, the point of the workshop wasn't to address everything that we needed to in those 2 hours, but to create space and tune in and see what's there so that we can work on it ourselves. And it was less scary doing it in that environment, so that was good. And then I came home, nice little dawdle home, and then a girlfriend offered to call because I'm off social media, and we ended up chatting on the phone for like 3 hours until I was like, all right, I'm gonna go and have something to eat now, and things like that. But it's been really lovely chatting. So that was good. So I mean, like, that filled the rest of my day. By which point it was like 8:30, and yeah, I was eating, and I don't know. I've done late videos before. I've done videos under influence before, but I didn't really want to do that yesterday. I didn't want to glorify what I was doing or justify what I was doing, but what I did was I took my antidepressant and a melatonin, and that was all. I didn't take any of the other pharmaceutical sedatives, just because 2 nights ago, obviously, when I was quite upset, I took a lot, and I wanted to give my body and my liver a break, especially because I didn't think even if I took one, it was going to make much of a difference. And I guess the experiment or whatever, or the lesson, is that it does make a difference, because I didn't have the best night's sleep. I smoked for a couple of hours. I was in bed by 10:30, and then, yeah, I don't know, halfway through that also, and then at some point in the middle of the night, I woke up, and then after that, it was just like I was waking up every time I needed to turn over. I was just rolling over and trying to go back to sleep, until I noticed it was kind of a bit light, and I was like, maybe I should check my phone. It was 7:30, and I was like, oh shit, alright, cool, well, I'll just doze a bit longer then. And the next thing I knew, it was, none of my alarms were going off. I apparently have turned off all of my alarms. I think I did that. Actually, yeah, I know when I did that. I did that the night that I took all the pills, because I was like, you're going to be really groggy if you wake up before you're ready, so let's just turn them all off. You don't have to be anywhere. Okay. Well, stoner oversight. So, look, not the best night's sleep, but I wasn't attaching any judgment to it. Since waking up, I've had a couple of messages. One's from Blake, and it was kind of annoying, but I think we're not going to be speaking to each other anymore after the message that I sent him. He does this really annoying thing, right? Where, you know how if you see something fucking like funny on Facebook, like a meme or whatever, you can tag someone. I get that I'm really hard to tag in things. So he just like always shares links across to Messenger that I then have to click on and go and open up, and it's just like a stupid cartoony picture about like a nihilistic cat. And sometimes it's funny, and sometimes it's just like, There's never any caption. There's never any context. He literally just sends it. I'm like, just fucking wake up to these messages he sent me at 5 a.m. as soon as he's woken up. It was just like, is this courting? Is it? And then I've also had a message from Mama Mel saying that I am welcome back, but yeah. Some things went down a couple of years ago with my pagan family, and I mean, a lot of that has to do with my how like mentally ill I've been over the past couple of years. But yeah, and she says that, you know, she, her husband and her daughter have talked and they'd like to start off on a clean slate, but we must have trust, honesty and love. You were and always will be part of our family, May, but we had to let you go for a while. It would be great to have you home again. And I guess like wise mind can sit there and acknowledge that that's a fair comment. That's not harsh. It's not rude. It's not anything. Then there's just that a little emotional part of me that was like, I was always honest with you. I was always like upfront. We were all just too emotional at that time to read anyone's messages properly, and it's late. And so then I feel like me trying to say what it like. I know that part of it is they feel like I was really ungrateful because they put up they put me up for about a month when things were really bad 2 years ago when Erica and I were living together. And and yeah, so they put me up in the caravan and went through all this trouble to make sure that I was like nice and settled. And my goal was to kind of detox over there, not realizing that her eldest son, who is the closest to me in age, was also a pothead. I didn't realize, like, I'm so naive when it comes to drugs. I don't know when anyone's on it. I don't know anything about anything unless anyone tells me. All right. So, yeah, I didn't realize that, like, Alex was, another Alex, was a pothead and fucking also dealing and getting way better shit than what I was getting off Jonesy's. So that, yeah, I was meant to be kind of detoxing and getting better and cutting down and tapering off, and instead I was like smoking way more really heavier stuff, just stupid hours of the night because I didn't have to be anywhere. Like at that point in my life, the only thing I was doing was working at Kmart. So I was living in Harcourt, driving to Ballarat for a 3.5 hour shift and then coming back. So it was just, I was just all over the place. Things weren't bad between Erica and I, so if it was a night shift or like a morning shift, then I would stay in Ballarat, but predominantly I was kind of based out in Harcourt. And that went on for about a month, and then my, I don't know, mental health slipped again, and I'm kind of having flashbacks to it, but I want to talk about it now because I know that after this, when I get in the shower, I'll be able to sort of reset a little bit. So please don't be too upset about me triggering myself or talking about upsetting things. But I do remember specifically, like I'm getting upset because I feel so ashamed. But yeah, so they feel like I'm ungrateful because I came back in the middle of the night one time and packed all of my stuff up and came back to Ballarat without saying anything to them. And I think, and they were quite hurt by that because they didn't even get like a thank you or anything like that. And then from there is where this whole kind of like fight kind of broke out. And what got lost in all of that was that that was part of my suicide plan at the time. So I didn't want to tell them that I was leaving because I knew it would, in my head, it would make them ask questions. And I didn't want to lie. I can't lie. I actually really struggle to lie. It sits funny in my mouth and I make a face. So it's really obvious when I'm lying. Sally, leave the fly alone, please. Thank you. Yeah, I thought it would arouse too much suspicion if all of a sudden I was like, I'm packing my stuff and going back to Erica's because or back home because things weren't perfect there. So yeah, and I even lied to Erica about it. I can't remember what story I told Erica. So Erica was with me because I was like, I don't want to drive by myself at night or something like that. And I remember it was the most traumatic car ride I have ever put her through because I was in an episode, but I was doing fucking crazy shit, like driving on the other side of the road, playing like chicken with her because I didn't give a shit about my life. And I was, I don't know, pushing the button, like, pushing the envelope to get her to say how much she can, or I don't know. But I used to do really fucked up shit like that. So if people don't understand why Erica's left, it's because she's had enough. And she resents that I say that she needs to talk to someone because all they say to her is that she's fine. She just needs to get away from me. But the truth is, like, I did put her through a lot of trauma. And she will always see me as that monster unless she talks to someone. So maybe it's all selfish. I want her to get help so that she can forgive me and love me again. So anyway, that's her journey. But in my head, I didn't want to kill myself in Ballarat and for them to have to go into the caravan and clear it up. Pack up all my things. And Mel can't, there's just sort of health issues, so no one over there would be able to drive really to Ballarat to drop that stuff off, and obviously Erica doesn't have her license either. So in my head, like that's where I was coming from. I was packing up my shit so that they didn't have to. I was exiting out of their lives. And then they were quite hurt that I did that. And the fact that I was, tried to kill myself again a few days later, wasn't really seen as a related thing. It got really ugly because not only was it a fight between, say me and my mum, because then her biological kids were seeing how upset she was and getting on social media and having a go at me too. So I'm actually like fighting with like 4 people over chat at the same time. It was like really intense. And but also what Irrational May wanted, because the more that you attack me and put me down when I feel like that, it's just it helps me go through with a plan. So that's another reason why I also become really toxic and instigatory and shit like that. So anyway, this has been a lot longer than I intended it to be. I have another story to tell, so I'll be doing another video before I jump in the shower. You don't have to watch that one. It's just a story time about my journey. Okay. But yeah, so this is sort of some stuff that's kind of like come up a little bit this morning, but it's going to be okay. I've got a big list of things to do today to keep me busy, and I know I'll get through it. So yeah, I'll check in with you guys later. Bye.